Hi there, we know who they are. For anyone still suggesting the Islamic Republic can somehow be reformed, for anyone arguing that this regime should remain in place in any form, for anyone asking the Iranian people to once again be patient, compromise, negotiate, accommodate, or obey, no, we know who they are. A regime that turned one of the oldest civilizations on earth into a cage. A regime that taught generations of Iranians to whisper instead of engage. We know who they are. A regime that executed thousands of political prisoners in the 80s and buried them in unmarked ground. A theocracy that tried to erase the dead so the truth would never be found. A regime that made Iran one of the execution capitals of the world. A regime where the hangman's rope became the national flag unfurled. We know who they are. A regime that murdered children in the streets for chanting women, life, freedom. A gang of criminals so terrified of liberty that even a teenage girl became treason. We know who they are. A regime that shot young women in the eyes so they would never see. A regime frightened by the simple act of letting citizens be free. We know who they are. A regime that tortured students, imprisoned journalists for daring to write. A regime that fears a pen because the truth still shines too bright. We know who they are. We know who they are. A regime that hunted artists, silenced singers, and forced millions into exile abroad. A regime so empty of beauty that it began treating culture itself as fraud. A regime that shut down the internet whenever reality became dangerous to show. A regime that fears connection because connected people begin to know. We know who they are. A regime that filled cemeteries while packing television screens with lies. A regime that mastered propaganda while mothers mastered goodbyes. We know who they are. A regime that answered peaceful protests with bullets at a prison cell. A regime that turned schools, courts, and neighborhoods into living hell. We know who they are. And now, after 47 years of brutality, censorship, humiliation, executions, massacres, theft, and fear, there are still voices asking the Iranian people to give this regime another year? No, we know who they are. The Iranian people already gave them a generation, and another, and another, and another nation. We know who they are, and once you know who they are, you cannot ask people to quietly kneel before their despair. You cannot ask a nation to unknow what happened there. We know who they are, and that is why this fight is still alive.